Welcome into another edition of the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. I'm Tom Leach, joined by Jonathan Fowler from Keeneland Select, subbing for Jim Goodman this week. And we're going to take a look at four stakes races across the country, one here in our state, two in Florida, one in California. We'll start down south with the Grade 2 Swale, 7 furlongs for 3-year-olds. It's the 10th race on their cards. And, Jonathan, you got Daredevil, who was scintillating in a couple of races last year, making his 3-year-old debut here from the rail, going 7 furlongs. Can you beat him?
It's going to be awful tough. Todd Pletcher, reading what he had to say about Daredevil, he knew exactly where to put this horse. There was no question about it. His works leading into this race have been stellar. So if this horse is ready to go, he simply, I just don't think can be beat. So I'm definitely going to use him on top in all of my wagers. The horses I'm looking underneath would be the number 2, Senor Grits. He just won very nicely in an optional claiming in Tampa last month, and then I think he can move forward off that effort going from 6 to 7 furlongs. So the number 2, and then looking at XY Jet on the outside, the number 7. He's put in some pretty good performances down in Florida and just finished second in the Hutchinson. So if I was going to play this, I'd probably play a try with Daredevil, one on top, with 2 Senor Grits, and then probably might hit the all button in that third position. So 1, 2, and then all for me in this one.
I'm going to try for the upset here, probably against my better judgment, but Ready for Ride. Really impressed. This horse ran second to Carpe Diem at Saratoga and then just blew him away in his next start. And the third start, not so great, but a 96 buyer, and the race last fall suggests that this horse has a lot of talent. He did run on January the 15th, and so that has a little bit of a recency edge over Daredevil, and doesn't have to break from the rail, which I like, and pedigree to be a top sprinter. So if you're going to beat Daredevil, probably the best shot is first time out and breaking from the one hole. So I'm going to try that, and Ready for Ride to upset Daredevil, box those two, and then I would take a look at Senior Grits if you want to add another one in there. But I'm going to try for the upset, probably not a wise move, but take a shot with Ready for Ride, number 3 in the Swale Stakes. The 11th race is the Grade 3 Palm Beach for 3-year-olds on the turf, going a mile and a 16th. I thought this was a pretty wide-open event, and I'm going to take Night Prowler for Chad Brown. Improved around 2 turns last fall. Bred to like stretching out to longer distances. I like the Castellano stays on this horse. So the 6th Night Prowler for me. I really like Divisidero's last race. Won at a big price. Buff Bradley's not a first-out guy, and this horse won first out. Really impressive. Don't really like the 9 hole, but I think this is a dangerous one to come back and run well again at a good price. The 2 A Campari and the 5 Dubai Sky I would also use. So basically a 4-horse exacta box for me of the 6, 9, 2, 5 in the Palm Beach. How about you?
Very, very similar. I really like Night Prowler in this. 2 starts back, he was flying at the end after going very wide in one of the turns for that race, and then just finished third by a neck, and then he comes back and wins the Dania Beach. So I think he does very well in this situation. Following up, some other horses to talk about. Obviously, Dubai Sky, he'll be sitting towards the front, so he's going to be dangerous if he's stalking or right on the lead. And then Cronin the Barbarian, watched this horse here at Keeneland, finished 6th, but only 3 lengths behind in the Bourbon. Went on, he's been very consistent, just not getting up. So I think he could fill out, your exacta or try at, and what I'm expecting a little bit of a price. So he's definitely one I might use in my try plays. But definitely a Night Prowler, the number 6, with Dubai Sky and Cronin the Barbarian.
The next race we want to take a look at here in the state of Kentucky is the 6th race on the Turfway Park card for Saturday. It's the John Battaglia Memorial for 3-year-olds at a mile and a 16th. Got a horse named the Great War breaking way on the outside that could not have been more impressive in his first try over the Turfway Oval for Wesley Ward. Any shot that you can beat the Great War in here, Jonathan?
The big question he has to answer is the distance. I mean, he ran well, in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile over dirt, came back in the 96 Rock to just annihilate the field at Turfway last time. And he obviously is just much the class, but, stretching out is going to be the big question. I'll probably single him in plays. The horse that I really question is the number 9, Fire Spike. Last time out, he won the OBS Champion Stakes. You kind of have to. It's hard to evaluate that field, but he did so very impressively. I went back and watched the race. He sits far back. So he may be the one to kind of take over towards the end. The other one I would look at is the number 3. Interesting play here. He did finish 7th in the Sam Davis, but he was far back. They put blinkers on him. Todd Pletcher puts blinkers on him for the first time, and I think that is kind of an interesting play. So he would be the other one I would include in plays. But, I'll probably single Great War on top, and then in an exacta play, I would probably put him on top with 9 and 3 on the bottom.
Great War for me as well, and if I'm going with that much of a favorite, I think the only play for me would be to try to find value in the 2-hole. So I think you make a great point about Fire Spike. I think he's certainly a legit contender, but I'll just toss him because he's going to be probably second choice. I'm going to try the Great War for the win here. I think he'll handle the stretch out fine. Host position's a little bit of a concern at the 11 hole, but sometimes the middle part of the track's been the better place to be at Turfway. So I'm going to try the Great War and use him over 3 prices. Task Force Glory, I think, is a shot to run well. Had a horrible post in his 3-year-old debut down at Gulfstream, and now I think draws much better here. And second off the layoff for Maker, that's a good angle for him. This horse, I think, is like 8-1 on the morning line. Mini Cosmo on the rail at 15-1. Midnight Trace from the 10-hole. Also, I think like 8 or 10-1. So all of those are nice prices. I'll try all 3 of those under the Great War. Hope to hit decent exacta if the favorite gets home first. 10th race or the other race we're going to look at is actually the 8th race on the Santa Anita card, and it's the Grade 3 Santa Isabel at a mile on the 16th for 3-year-old fillies. So this is a step of the road to the Kentucky Oaks. You've got Rhea de Batteria, who was an impressive winner here at Keeneland on the grass last fall, running in this spot. Got some other horses that we saw in Breeders' Cup Day. Where did you go in the Santa Isabel, Jonathan?
I looked at an Enchanting Lady, Bob Baffert's horse, the number 3 coming in. She takes a 8-month break after she won her debut and then won a 5.5 furlong, the Londa Lucy, and was going to settle on her. And at the last second, I thought 8 months is a long time, and from 5.5 furlongs to the mile 16th, that's just too many questions for me. So I did end up on the number 5, Reina de Bateria. So I just think Graham Motion sends in this horse. From turf to dirt, her first start on the dirt, I think he's a smart guy. I mean, has had to have seen something in her to try the dirt. I think she had a lot of trouble in the stretch in her last race, and she was a flying third, and she was flying in her race before that. So, and watching her at Keeneland, she was just excellent on that day she won the Justman. So I'm going to give her the chance. She's got the dirt breeding as well, so I think she has a chance to I think you're going to get a price on her as well. So I'm going to do the 5, and then I think it's pretty even. I mean, there's some horses that could really step up here. You've got a maiden horse in the number 8, Stellar Wind, who won big time at Laurel, breaking her maiden, and then switched to the John Sadler barn. Victor Espinosa's aboard. This horse just looked tremendous in her maiden win last time. So it's a iffy play on that. She gets blinkers off, and John Sadler gets 35% win when he does that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the 5 on top, and then use 3 Enchanting Lady, 6 Light the City, who's probably going to be fairly close on the lead, and then the number 8 in my exacta plays.
I had some of the same questions about Enchanting Lady as you did. I ended up going ahead and taking her, mainly out of respect for Baffert and the fact that she's out of an AP mare, so I think that can handle the distance part of the question marks. She's working lights out, and Baffert's 32% off this kind of long layoff. So I'm going to take a shot just believing in Baffert here for the Enchanting Lady, and the fact that I didn't see any real standout in this field, kind of what you said. So I think it's a bit of a wide-open race, and may not get Enchanting Lady may not go favored because of some of those questions. So I'm going to use her on top and key her in exactas with Danette, the 1, the 4, Achiever's Legacy, and the 6, Light the City. I'm going to leave Reina de Batteria out. A lot of respect for her. I was real impressed with the race at Keeneland, and actually used her in tickets on Breeders' Cup Day. I thought she would run well out there and didn't get the best of trips. So a lot of respect for Graham Motion. But I'm going to go with Baffert and Enchanting Lady in the Santa Isabel, and then so 3 with the 1, 4, and 6. going both ways in that Exacta, and the 3 Enchanting Lady for the win in the Santa Isabel. So good wide-open betting race there. Some great opportunities this weekend. And when the weather gets bad and you can't always get out to simulcasting, if you've got your Keeneland Select account funded, you can always play some of the great racing that's going on the weekends. And we take a look at those stakes races for every Saturday right here on the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.